persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Carla Rose Brett.
May it please the Court, I move that Carla Rose Brett be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Carla Rose Brett be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Adam Suleiman Butt.
May it please the Court, I move that Adam Sulim Butt be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Adam Suleiman Butt be admitted as lawyer of this court.
Ashvini Bhavanantaran.
May it please the Court, I move that Ashwini Bhuvanendran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ashvini Bhuvanendran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hee Jin Choi.
May it please the Court, I move that Hee Jin Choi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hee Jin Choi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Irene Ann Lego De Raya.
Let Irene Ann Ligot Derea be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mushtaba Ibrahimi.
May it please the Court, I move that Mushtaba Ibrahimi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mushtaba Ibrahimi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Abigail Soa Adusi.
May it please the Court, I move that Abigail Sewa Eduse be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Abigail Sewa Adusi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hayley Grubb.
May it please the Court, I move that Hayley Grubb be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hayley Grubb be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yui Hu.
May it please the Court, I move that Yui Hugh be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yui Hugh be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Wei Kang.
May it please the Court, I move that Wei Kang be admitted as a lawyer to this honourable court.
Let Wei Kang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Thomas Carews.
May it please the Court, I move that Daniel Thomas Harouz be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel Thomas Carews be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mansahaj Kaur.
May it please the Court, I move that Mansage Kaur be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mansage Kaur be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eric Paizu Kong.
May it please the Court, I move that my brother Eric Pizal Kong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eric Pisu Kong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
James Nicholas Lovibond.
May it please the Court, I move that James Nicholas Lovibond be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let James Nicholas Lovibond be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Liam Maxwell McKibben.
May it please the Court, I move that Liam Maxwell McKibben be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Liam Maxwell McKibben be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jackson Mark McKinley.
May it please the Court, I move that Jackson Mark McKinley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jackson Mark McKinley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Richard Barrington Moore.
May it please the Court, I move that Alexander Richard Barrington Moore be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexander Richard Barrington Moore be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Stevie Lee Janet Nobbs.
May it please the Court, I move that Stevie Lee Janet Nobbs be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Stevie Lee Janet Nobbs be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Ong.
May it please the Court, I move that Emily Ong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emily Ong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lachlan Pennincalampi.
May it please the Court, I move that my colleague Lachlan Pennincalampi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Let Lachlan Pennincalampi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Parita Pechpipat.
May it please the Court, I move that Parita Petripat be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Parita Pechipat be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Ryan Shembry.
May it please the Court, I move that Matthew Ryan Shembry be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew Ryan Shembry be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Christopher Evans Smith.
May it please the Court, I move that Daniel Christopher Evans Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel Christopher Evans Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shakti Srikanth.
May I please the court, I move that Shakti Srikanth be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shakti Srikanth be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christina Sophia Tato.
May it please the court, I move that Christina Sophia Tato be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Christina Sophia Tato be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christine Tran.
May it please the court, I move that Christine Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Christine Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christina T. Da Tau Vu.
May it please the court, I move that Christina T. Da Tau Vu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Christina T. Da Tau Vu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Paige Megan Elise Wilson.
May it please the court, I move that Paige Megan Elise Wilson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Paige Megan Elise Wilson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jason Yu.
May it please the court, I move that Jason Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jason Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Grace Hui Si Zong.
May it please the court, I move that Grace Hu Si Zong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Grace Hui Si Zong be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration that all those being admitted today stand up but remain in their current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Carla Rose Brett. Adam Suleiman Butt. Ashvini Bhuvanan Taran. Hee Jin Choi. Irene Ann Ligot Diraya. Mustaba Ebarimi. Abigail Soa Adusai. Hayley Grubb. Yue Hu. Wei Kang. Daniel Thomas Carouse. Mansahaz Kaur. Eric Paizu Kong. James Nicholas Lovibond. Liam Maxwell McKibben. Jackson Mark McKinley. Alexander Richard Barrington Moore. Stevie Lee Janet Nobbs. Emily Ong. Lachlan Peninkalampi. Parita Pechpipat. Matthew Ryan Shembri. Daniel Christopher Evan Smith. Shakti Srikanth. Christina Sophia Tato. Christina Tran. Christina T. Tato Vu. Paige Megan Elise Wilson. Jason Yu. Grace Hui Si Zong. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
So help me God.
Please be seated. Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today, to my right is Justice White, who is a member of the Court of Appeal, and to my left, Justice Hume, who is a member of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together, we constitute the Court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations, and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You've all worked extremely hard to get here, through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless thin wafer pages of textbooks, and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers that will never happen. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person have understood that the Constitution consists of so much more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or for your family and friends more likely, that is how long it feels that you've been studying. On that note, I'm also pleased to welcome those with you today or watching on live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends has no doubt been invaluable. No doubt they've also been on the receiving end from time to time of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity and your commitment to justice. It is an acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. Regrettably, I had to disappoint her. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past 2 years, we've had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can undoubtedly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we face, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements can have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes which deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far, but that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of the profession, half of the solicitors with a practicing certificate in New South Wales, and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation amongst judges of this court and, for example, amongst barristers with speaking roles in the High Court of Australia. On the other hand, it is heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other notable diversity concerns that we must face head on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we'll only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. And you only need to look at your fellow admittees in the courtroom and then on the paintings at the wall to see that this is so. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when your words and actions are being heard and taken seriously and having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction that it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regards to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say, of course, there are only a few lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, the administration of justice, and other ethical duties which you must uphold. Now that you're lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you are not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reason, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the sole object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and your speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I'd suggest the answer to these questions is almost invariably no. The best advocates make their points simply and succinctly. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges from time to time could use that reminder, as you'll note through reading through the law reports, but don't pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I'd not be surprised if there were quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the years, far too many to remember, although my colleagues from time to time like to remind me of them. And even as Chief Justice, my decisions have, on odd occasions, been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that happens, I simply grit my teeth and remind myself that the fact that it's not a legal fiction that the High Court is infallible, but occasionally even dissenting judgments become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. Now, this may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulties, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that out throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment, the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. Now, I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly with those sitting with me today, can I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.
Silence all.